All right. Welcome back, everyone. Again, my name is Ron Quinones, so we're going to be doing our Mass Notifications Advanced session. We're basically going to add on to what we covered yesterday during the basic session. So we're going to go to the same URL and the wacoisd.parentlink.net, and we're going to go into the messaging area. But this time we're going to talk about some additional topics like creating groups and other ways to select our recipients. Right, so we could select individuals, but we could also select groups of individuals, like we saw yesterday, like all parents across the ISD or parents at certain schools, things like that. But you could also create additional groups, as many groups as you want. So we'll talk about those different types of groups that we could create and how to do that. We'll also talk about using a mapping tool. So you could select a certain area on the map and send a message to people who live in certain neighborhoods. I'll talk about uploading a file. So if you have a list of people that you want to contact, you could upload that file and make them the recipients. Or maybe just uploading a file with a bunch of phone numbers and emails and text numbers, right? And they don't even have to belong to people that are parents or students or staff. They could be someone outside of the district, maybe local business partners or supporters of the district. So we'll also talk about merge tags. Merge tags is a way to personalize the body of the message. So instead of saying hello parents, it'll say hello John, hello Susie, hello Michael. Each person will hear their name read out, right, in the message. So so we'll talk about how to create those and use those, and then message templates, how to create message templates, starting points, blueprints for messages we want to send, as well as creating other categories to organize our sent messages and creating and sending out surveys. All right, so those are all additional advanced topics for today. All right, with that said, let's jump right on in. I have your site open here. Again, wacoisd.parentlink.net. And I'm going to go into the messaging area. So I'll click on that from the navigation bar at the top, or click on create a message from the dashboard. And as we go on here, what we went through yesterday, we typed into the recipients area to search, for certain people's names or IDs or keywords. And we see right here, hey, we have all parents at the ISD or individual schools, but there's also a groups tab. So there's a bunch of groups that are already in the system, already been created for you. Parents of 10th graders at Wiley Opportunity Center, parents of 11th graders at Waco High School, parents of first graders at Provident Heights, right? So all of these groups are here. So I'm finding that keyword of parents in the group name, right? And so you see all those groups already exist. Or I could put in, other keywords. Let me see if we have bus groups. Sure enough, we do have bus groups, or at least one bus group, SBA bus list. Okay, so we're going to find those groups, those existing groups, on the group from the messaging area and the groups submenu. Okay, now when I come here, I'm not finding any groups. So why am I not seeing any, even though we just saw that there's a bunch that exist? Right, that's because when I'm logged in as an administrator for Waco ISD, right? And so when I'm going to see, first and foremost, is either any groups that I created or groups created for Waco ISD. And there are no groups created at the Waco ISD level. They're all created at the different school or organization levels, right? So if I hit the button that says Show Child School, then I'm going to see those 477 groups that exist, all right in here. They're currently sorted by the ID number on the left. Each group has a unique ID, but I could also click on the header row for name and sort and organize them by the group name, or click on the header row for school and sort them by school. So I see all the Alta Vista Elementary groups first, and then all the Bells Hill Elementary groups, and so on. Okay, so there's a bunch of groups in here, but you know what? You're not limited to just these groups. You could also create your own groups. Okay. And so you'll see the button on the right that says add. Now, when you create a group, you're creating it. Who you can create it for is based on your account, right? Now, again, my school, my organization, my account is Waco ISD, so I'll be creating a group by default for that, but I could create groups also for other schools. If you're logged in as a principal or school administrator, say for Alta Vista, then you'll only be able to create groups for Alta Vista because that's the only school you have access to. Okay, so I'm gonna hit the add button. Oh, even before I do that, here, let me mention some of these other columns. So I mentioned ID on the left, the group name, and what school or organization is related to in the middle. The other columns on the right, where it says owner, all of these say NA because these are the ones our Blackboard team created for you. So when they imported all your data, all your account information, everything, got this set up, they also created some common groups, right? Grade level groups for both students and parents, different language speaking groups for parents and students, and then sometimes bus ones as well, right? But I'm just seeing more grade level and language ones right here. Right, so any of those that our Blackboard team created, they'll say NA. But if you create a group or I create a group, we're going to see our name in the owner column. The type column to the right of that, it's all these say public, and the two values you see are public or private. Okay, a public group is able to be used by anyone that has sending rights for that school. Right, so anyone has sending rights for Alta Vista will be able to use this Espanol parents group. Okay, private group could only be used by the owner. Okay, and then lastly, we have the members column on the right. All of these say query, but you'll see one of a couple things, either the word query or a number in this column. All right, when it has a number, that's how many people are in that group. But when it says query, there are people in that group, but we're not quite sure how many. Okay. The ones that have a number, what we call static groups, right? And the ones that say query are dynamic groups, right? And I'll explain the difference in a moment when I go ahead and create a group now. All right. Any questions though so far, as far as where we are? We're in the messages and groups area.
No.
No. All right. All right, here, let me demonstrate creating a static group and a dynamic group and explain the difference. All right, I'm gonna hit the add button in the upper right. And then I have right here a few fields at the top. So one is, all right, what organization is this group going to be related to, right? Is it for the Waco ISD or is it for a particular school? All right, maybe I'll just, maybe I'll keep it for maybe Alta Vista. All right, group name. So I'm going to create a PTO parents group. All right, and then the two buttons. Do I want it as a public group? Anyone at Alta Vista could send messages to this new group I'm creating, or do I want to keep it private just for me, the creator of the group? All right, if I click either button, it's going to create a unique ID number. Okay, and then from there, I'm just going to expand Waco ISD, expand parents, and expand Alta Vista. And I'm going to pick manually who's part of the PTO parents. All right, so I'm just going to randomly select some individuals right here. All right, and you see all those individuals I select over on the right side, 7 of them, and then I'll hit save in the lower right. And as I do that, now I see, hey, right here, here's the new group. All right, ID number, the name, the organization or school it's associated with, the owner, the creator of the group. It's a public group and there's 7 people in it. All right, that's a static group. Static meaning it's the number of people in the group is fixed. It's always 7 unless I manually change that. I click on the group name on the left to open it up again and either add or remove more people. So I could remove someone or I could add more. All right, I'm back to 7 or 8 or 9 or whatever. Okay, so that's a static group. Manually selecting, I can see the number on here, and the number is always that unless I go ahead and change it. Okay, now that's a little different than a dynamic group, the ones that say query on the right. So I'm going to click and open up this group, and let me change this. So maybe I'll create this group for Brazos High School. All right, maybe I'll do this. This is going to be maybe a career fair. All right. And so I'm going to remove these recipients that I had before. And then this new group, I'm not going to, for this career fair, I want to reach out to, say, all the senior high students, right? The ones that are, starting to prep for their future after, after high school, college, and armed services, other, technical schools and stuff like that. So I'll expand on here, I'll expand students, and then I'll go to maybe just that school, and I'll try and select all the senior class students, which is going to be difficult because I can't tell by just the name, right? So I don't want to do it this way. It's going to take way too long to figure out who's in the 12th grade. So instead of picking from a list, where it says right here, selecting from a list, I'm going to change that to set up an advanced search. Okay. From here, I'm setting up a query, a question, right? So I'm saying to the system in here, look in all the accounts and look for maybe just Brazos High School, right? Or maybe I could select maybe all the high schools, maybe multiple. Okay. And then within Brazos High School, look for account types that are just student accounts. Okay. And within those student accounts, find me any accounts that the grade level is equal to 12. Okay. So I don't have to pick from a list and know who's in the 12th grade. I'm setting up this query and having the system search for me within all the accounts and pulling in the field for grade level equal to 12. Okay. Now if I hit the preview button in the bottom center, it found me 57 students at that school. All right, hit OK, and it adds all 57 here on the right. Okay. Now if I hit save for this group, now that I modified it, see the new name and the new school, on the right, it doesn't say 57, it says query. Okay, this dynamic group has 57 people in it today. Tomorrow, though, could be 58, 59, or it could be 55, right? How many people are in the group can vary from day to day, depending on the accounts, because the accounts are updated nightly, right? And those accounts are connected to your student information system. And as a new student registers, it'll go from 57 to 58. Or if a student moves out of town, right, it'll go from 57 to 56, right? My group doesn't change. How I've set it up and the criteria for the group is the same. How many people meet the criteria can change from day to day. All right, that's why it's a dynamic group. All right, any questions on that? Those two kinds of groups and how I set that up?
No.
Okay. All right, now with the advanced search and setting up criteria, I could have multiple criteria on here. So instead of grade level equal to 12, I could also hit the add button and say, hey, give me grade level equal to 12, but only the ones where their last name maybe begins with the letter M. Preview. Instead of 57, I'm down to 8. Right? So you could do multiple criteria. You can even do, maybe I want to do grade level equal to 11. Right? I'm not just going to search for senior class students. I'm going to search for also juniors as well. Right? They're starting to prep for college and things after high school. All right, so let me hit preview for that. Oh, that's curious. Look, it says no recipients are found. All right, that doesn't make sense, right? I had 57 seniors. I was expecting, now 100, 120 between the combination of the two, right? So how come it didn't find anyone? And that's because of this spot right here where it says find accounts that match all, right? Or match any, right? So it says match all, meaning that for every Brazos High School student account, logically, there's no student that's both in 12th grade and 11th grade. Both of these criteria cannot be true at the same time, right? But if I change this to match any, if either one of these are true, then it'll find them. So I hit the preview button, and I found 87. All right, so far fewer. It's only 30 juniors. All right. But they're all in here, grade 12 and 11, or together, right? So the match all is an and. All the criteria need to be true. Match any of the criteria, an or, right? If any of the criteria is true, it'll pull it in. All right. So, and I could also remove criteria if I want to go back to maybe just senior class students. I could do that. Okay. All right. And that's exactly how some of these existing groups were set up. So if I show child school and I look for one of these grade level ones right here, like 11th grade students at Waco High School, I click and open it up, and sure enough, it's at Waco High School, student accounts, grade level equal to 11. All right, now once I have these groups set up and created, now I could use these groups by going back to the send area. And I could use the search box, the search for that career fair group, but it's not going to find it, right? Because I mentioned yesterday, any new accounts or new groups that were created today, it's not going to find that new one. It has to go through the nightly update at least once. So tomorrow, I could put the word career in here and find that group, right? But if I want to use this group right away that I just created, I can hit the choose link. Okay, and from here, I'm going to find two folders. One says my groups, which are groups that I created. So I could always use that group right here. Or I may find groups under the school or the ISD name under this groups folder. The difference is these are groups that someone else created that I have access to use because maybe they're public groups, right? And I have access to all the schools, so I have access to all the public groups at all the schools. Okay. Now, when I select a group right here, I could click and expand on the right, and I'll see all those 57 students, but I could also remove some, right? So I'm down to 56, down to 55, right? So I could start with the full group, but then remove or add. I could come over here to the left and maybe add an additional student, right? Or two, or however many I want it. All right, so you could do a combination of using the groups, individuals, a whole nother school over here, right? So you can select individuals and recipients in multiple ways. All right, any questions on groups at all?
No.
Okay. All right, I'm going to come back here to the groups. I'm going to hit the checkbox on the left and hit remove. So I don't really need this. It's just a test. And it's going to ask me, hey, you sure you want to permanently remove career fair? So, be careful because you don't want to delete groups that other people created and may be using. So make sure it's the group that you are intending to delete, as maybe it's your group. All right, I'm going to come back to the messaging area. And let's take a look at other ways to select recipients. All right, so yesterday we did simply from a list, right? Clicking the choose link and expanding and selecting who we want. And we just did groups, right? But you'll notice here in the top left in the drop down, there's some other options, other ways to select recipients. And one of them is the advanced search we just went through in the groups area, right? So I could select one or multiple schools, one or multiple account types, right? And then use the search criteria, the search for certain people. Okay. But I'm doing this for like a one-time search for this one-time message I'm sending out. But there's also 3 other options on here in the drop-down. Instead of from a list or an advanced search, there's also from a map. So if I select from a map, it opens up this Google Maps tool, and you can see it updates the map based on the address in the upper right. And now I'm going to use this mapping tool to select certain areas on the map, certain neighborhoods. I want to alert people that live in those neighborhoods that, hey, you know what, there's some construction going on in your neighborhood. You may need to leave earlier in the morning to get your kids home get to the school on time, or there may be some delays in transportation getting them home because of the construction, or maybe there's some flooding, or some down power lines, or whatever it may be. Okay. So, and it's a Google map. You can see I can move the map around. I can zoom in and out, and I can use the plus and minus sign in the lower right. Okay. But in the upper left corner, this is where I'm going to select who do I want to find on the map, right? So I could search for just parents, or I could search for everyone, right? If there's construction and some transportation delays, it's going to affect everyone. All right. And then I'm going to mark up the map. Which area, which neighborhood on the map do I want to search for people? All right. So I'm going to use in the upper left corner of the map these tools right here. So I'm going to click on Draw a Circle, and then click on the map and draw a circle. All right. Now, as I do this, I see in the upper left corner on the green bar, it says it found 1,480 accounts, right, that are within this area on the map. Okay. Now I could take that circle, I could drag it, move it around. Now I'm up to over 3,000, right? Or I could also grab the dots on the edge of the circle and reduce the size of the circle. I'm now down to 532. Now, any of those dots that I grab to change the size, after I do that, I see this arrow here. This is an undo. So it's going back to the previous size. Okay, and with the circle, I even have an option if I wanted to in the lower left corner to put in a number here, so it'll be an exact radius. All right, so I put in a 1, exact 1 mile radius. Now, if I try and adjust the shape, the size of that circle, it's not allowing me to. It's reverting back. This radius right here is overriding any manual adjustment. Okay, I could take that out, and now I can manually adjust it if I want. Move it around or change the size. Okay. Any questions there? Opening up this map tool or using a circle to mark it up?
So that works only if parents have kept their address updated in our system, right?
Exactly.
If
exactly.
they move, then we might miss them. So might it be better just to use all parents for certain campuses to make sure that we get them no matter where they are?
Sure. Yeah. No, absolutely. If you want to do it by school, this is where I could get a little more granular on other way, like just a different way to select it, because maybe for some people that don't live in a certain area, maybe the message you're sending about transportation delays is not going to affect them, right? Some districts will have bus numbers. They'll have groups per bus created. So that way you can do it like that. All right, this bus is delayed. There was, the bus broke down or something. You could contact just those parents. You don't have to contact every parent at that school, right?
Yeah.
So that's where you may want to create a group, and a lot of districts do that. They'll create groups for all their buses.
Okay.
Here is, you know, a little bit more like, hey, I definitely want to, you know, contact people within a certain area. Like if I maybe grab this and I'll hit clear on the lower right to remove that, put my address back in. All right, and maybe I'll, you know, click on a rectangle, and so I can do the same thing like I did with the circle, draw a rectangle, move it around the rectangle and change the size. Okay. But I could even draw a very specific shape. And so between the circle and the rectangle, I could come in here and zoom in on the map and say, hey, I want to get everyone that live in this block, you know, but I want to exclude the streets over here. So I'll click on that one in between that says draw a shape. So I could click right here, and I don't want to include Man Street. So I'll go right before Man Street and click the dot, and then I'll come up here and I'll include Garrison Street, and then I'll come over here and go all the way up here and before that other road. And you can see I could draw as many points as I want to get the exact shape I'm looking for, you know, and then come back to my original point. Once I hit my original point, then it fills in the shape.
Okay.
Right? And if you zoom in even more, you could try and get it even and say, hey, I want to get like one side of the street and not the other side of the street. It's like it may be some boundary maps or something like that. So,
Yeah.
you know, it may not work for all scenarios, but there's some scenarios where this mapping tool could be very helpful. Okay. And you can see in the upper right corner, it found 47 accounts within this area. I hit done in the lower right, and it's going to pull in all those individuals that live in that area on the map. Okay. But like you mentioned, though, whether it finds someone and finds the right people is going to be based on their accounts, right? And make sure the street address in their account is correct, right? And make sure that everyone has the street address in their account.
Yeah. If I had to guess, I would think we only receive their correct address during registration, and then if they move throughout the year, they probably don't bother letting us know.
Okay.
Most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always based on the data, right? Garbage in, garbage out, that kind of idea, right? It's I can only reach people, I can only send them phone calls if I have their updated phone number, you know, same thing. So you have to make sure that, you know, the data that is being brought in here, that is coming from your student information system, that the student information system is kept up to date.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the mapping tool. So here, let me clear the list. Now, if I want to adjust the map, right? I had those, but I need to make a change to it. Well, I'm going to click on here and say from a map, right? But notice it's not opening up the map tool again. So how do I get back to the map? So I need to deselect from a map and then reselect it. And then it opens up that map tool and shows me exactly where I left off. Okay. So just an FYI, you hit choose. If it already says from a map, you have to deselect that and then reselect it. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna hit the choose link. Let's take a look at the last two options on here. From a file with IDs and a file with addresses. All right, so a file with addresses, when I'm talking about addresses, I'm talking about delivery addresses, phone numbers, emails, text numbers, okay? So I could actually upload a file that has numbers and, you know, delivery addresses for people that are not even students and parents. Maybe the local news organization, like, you know, let the, you know, local newspaper know that school's gonna be closed, or the you know, whatever it is, right? So you send out that alert, school's closed. You let those organizations know as well. All right. So if I do a file with addresses, I just hit upload here and grab that file. Now the file that I'm building has to be a text tab delimited file. Okay, so meaning I could grab a spreadsheet, just create like a spreadsheet of a bunch of phone numbers, bunch of emails, right? Text numbers, and and then email at email.com, and then text numbers. I have just a bunch of numbers in here, right? So when I have this spreadsheet, the important things need to save it as not a CSV file, not an XLS file, right? It needs to be a text tab delimited file type, TXT. All right. And then I could say, you know, I don't know, call the file whatever I want. I don't know, organizations. All right, so TXT, text tab delimited file type. All right, so I'll close that, come back here to my recipients area, hit file with addresses, and upload. Okay, I'll grab that text file, and it fills in those 3 columns. Right, so it has all the data on here. And because I put a header row, it was very easy to identify, hey, which column was the phones, which column were the SMS or text numbers. Right, so it automatically kind of filled in those headers. So I'll hit looks good, right, and then it adds all those addresses in here. All right, and so if I hit done, now I have all those addresses. They're not even related to any accounts that are in here. They're just a list of emails, phones, and text numbers I want to reach. So I just create my message, select phone, email, and text, and then send it out. Okay, pretty easy there, creating a file with addresses. Any questions on that?
No.
Okay. All right. Now, a file with IDs, this is going to be like student IDs, parent IDs, staff IDs. Okay. So let me create a sample file by going to the accounts area. All right. So I'll look for maybe some student accounts, maybe at the high school. All right. Here, let me list them all. Okay. 104 accounts. So again, I'm going to create a spreadsheet. Create a spreadsheet.
We do this one quite a bit.
There we go. Wow. All right. Everything's running a little slow. There we go. Now what next? See, I clicked and click and click, and I get multiple windows. All right. All right. So I have a spreadsheet here. It's just going to be student ID. All right. And then I can just grab some of these ID numbers, right? For Jasmine, right? So that's 48095. And Domingo, 39154. Right, and then Terry, 36496. Right, and that's all I really need. I just need the ID numbers for who I want. However, when I have this spreadsheet, I could add other columns. Right, so maybe I want, right, the student name. Right, I'll do Jasmine Ringo and Barry. All right. Maybe I'll put in, all right, I'm going to alert them that they have a low lunch balance. They have the lunch balance in here. Maybe I want to let them know they have some library fines. Maybe I want to congratulate them they made the honor roll and give them their current GPA. So it could be lots of information in here because I'm going to use the IDs to find the correct students and pull them as recipients. But I could also use this other data as part of the body of my message. All right, so this would be kind of cool. So, all right, maybe I won't do the lunch balance. Maybe I'll just do their GPA. 4.5, 4.5, 4.4. And again, this has to be saved the same as the other file as a text tab delimited file type, txt. All right, and I'll just say honor roll. Okay, so I'll close that. All right, let me go back to the messaging area. And I will open up the choose link to open up the select recipients, and I'm going to do a file with IDs. So as I click the upload button, I'll grab that file I just created. Right? It fills in those 3 columns I had. Now, if I didn't put a header row in, I just put in this data in here, then I would be forced to select and tell the system, all right, what is this information, right? I need to pick at least one system field it's going to search for to try and find a match. So I'm a student ID. Because I had that in the header row, I already pulled that in. So it's going to search in the student ID field for all the accounts and see if it can find a match for these IDs. Okay. The other ones, there's no field in anyone's account that has their GPA or a field called S name. So these would be considered custom fields, right? All right, so I'm gonna hit looks good. And you'll notice it's gonna ask me a question before it pulls them in. It says, hey, do you want to send a message to your students once I pull them in, or do you want to send it to the parents of those students matching that student ID? Right, so this gives you that option. The same option we had in the advanced options, right? So I'll say, I'm just going to send it to students. Say go. And on the right, sure enough, it found 3 matches, right? Based on the ID, it pulled in the correct students. On the left, it said 1 ID could not be found. All right, so if I click the little link here, it says 1 ID. That was my header row in my spreadsheet. Right, this is not a real ID, it's just text. So, okay, and I hit done in the lower right. Right, so quick way, if you have a list, you know, I want to send maybe an honor roll message congratulating those families that made the honor roll, right, those students. And maybe I get that list of who made the honor roll from, I don't know, the academic office or whoever has that. And they just give me the ID numbers. Well, I could pull in, upload that file, it finds a match for the IDs and pulls in the right students. Any questions there? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can I ask why you added the GPA?
Yeah, because as part of the message, I may want to give them the current GPA. Congrats, you made the honor roll. Here's your GPA for the quarter. Here's your current GPA, whatever it is. So, and I don't want to tell Jasmine everyone else's GPA. I want Jasmine to hear her GPA, right?
So
and
that would be
here. Yeah, and it's what we call merge tags. It's a way to personalize the body of the message. So each person hears either their name, their GPA, their lunch balance, whatever the data is. That's appropriate for them. Yeah, any other questions there on uploading a file?
No, I think when we do that, we usually have, if somebody's asking us to send something to students, we
Mhm.
usually have them send us their IDs, and then we just upload the file, and then pull them from that, just to save us time, so we don't have to go search for that information.
Yeah,
So,
you
but
could
it
get
is,
that. Yeah,
yeah,
you
it's
could get
nice
that
to
same
have the merge
information.
tag.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
manually typing in the GPA, but you're probably getting that GPA or you're getting that lunch balance information along with the student ID already, right? So I was just
yeah,
making
it's
up the
nice
data,
to see how that
right?
works.
Mhm.
Maybe now that we know that that's what it does, if you could just quickly go through that again to show us if show us what it looks like when we type the message, and where it will automatically pull in each person's individual GPA. How do we type that in so that it does that
Yep,
in the body of
absolutely.
the message?
Yep, and that's exactly what I was going to do next. So that's a
Okay.
perfect segue. Yeah, that's what I finished up with that with ID. So like, how do I set up those merge tags now for the message? So I'll start with my template right here, and I'll say, hello students, um, say congrats, John, you made the honor roll this quarter, right? Your current GPA is, I don't know, 4.3 or whatever. Okay. And I'll say, keep up uh, the, the good work, right? Say sincerely, Ron Quinones, um, Waco high school principal. All right. So, all right. So I have a message right here. Say I want to send this. I don't know. I can send it as a phone call. I can send it as an email. All right. So now if I send this out, each person is going to hear John and 4.3 in the GPA. Right. It's not what I want. So I want each person to hear their name and their GPA. All right. And that's where we're going to insert some merge tags here. So for email, I'm going to click the more link in the upper left to expand the toolbar. And one of the options in the upper left corner says insert a merge tag. So that little button right here at the clipboard and the T. So I'll take out John and insert the merge tag of S name, right? So I put that in the spreadsheet because I wanted to put in that student's first name. Now, if I took out this and maybe I'm sending to parents, right? Maybe I'll send to parents as students. Maybe I'll take out the word students and say, hello, and put in this one for the recipient's name. Since I'm sending a message to the parents, the parent will hear their name read out, but that will be the full name, right?
Okay.
So, so you'll see on here, there's a bunch of merge tags that you always could use, right? The date, recipient's name, maybe the sender's name, or maybe the sender's last name. So instead of here saying Ron Quinones, I could put in Mr. and put in the sender's last name. Now, sender's last name is going to come from my account. So it's actually not going to say Quinones, it's going to say Trainer. Say Mr. Trainer, because that's the last name in the account I'm logged in with. All right. And then here I could, take out the school name and just put in, the school name from here. I put in the word principal. All right. So those are the merge tags in the upper left corner. Now, at the top of these merge tags, they all have capital letters. These are the system merge tags. So these are the same ones you're always going to see available. But at the top, these are custom merge tags. These are coming from my uploaded file. So those are those two additional columns, right, I put in. All right. And so it could be any data like, again, library fines, low lunch balance, and I could pull that in. So here for GPA, I'll take out 4.3 and insert that custom merge tag from the GPA field I uploaded.
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, so that's how it's done with email. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Why are some of the merge tags student_F name and then the other one is student_name?
Yeah, so F name would be like first name. Yeah. Versus
And
this
name
would
would be full name?
Yes.
Okay.
What is _F name _POS?
POS.
Yeah.
I'll have to check on
about
that one. I have an idea what it is, but I'll have to find out to get an exact. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a newer field that they've added. So, yeah, student ID, you know, there's different ones you could utilize. Okay. All right, so that's for email. You could do the same thing for phone. So if I go to the phone icon, right, and select on that, and then I want to insert some merge tags here too. So as I look around, and I'm looking and looking and looking, and it says, all right, where's the button? I don't see any button here for merge tags. So where did it go? Am I able to do it for phone? Yeah, you can. But I need to first go to the advanced options on the left. So in the lower left corner, I open up the advanced options window, and there's a checkbox I need to check first. It says use merge tags with the recorded audio. So once I select that and hit save, now in my phone modality, I see this button in the lower left. Right? That wasn't there before, and now that I turned it on in advanced options, now I see it. Okay, and the instructions change too. So the instructions is going to tell me the same way I would record anything, right? Dial the number, right, or you hit the colon record and it calls you, and then it, you know, it says record the message after the tone, press pound. But here's the additional step: press the not the pound, but press the asterisk if you want to insert a merge tag. Okay, and when you're done with the whole message, then you press pound, and to save your message, you press 1.
So would you say, like, for instance, hello students, congrats, and then you press the asterisk there, or you press the asterisk after you're done recording the entire message?
Nope. The first one you said, yes. Okay. So yeah, so not at the end, but at the point you want to insert a merge tag. All right. Got it. So say if I take out the word John, and then I would hit merge tag, and this is where I'll insert S name, right? Custom merge tag from my uploaded file.
Okay.
Okay. And then here for GPA, I'll take out the 4.3 again, insert another merge tag for the GPA field I uploaded.
So if you insert merge tags on a phone call, it's going to be the automated voice that does those?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And so when I'm recording this, it's my voice here at the beginning, then it goes to automated. Then it goes to my voice again, and then it goes to automated. So it could sound a little choppy doing it that way. So maybe here's 2 options. Instead of recording it in your voice, maybe do the whole thing in text to speech. Right? So it'll all be automated, the whole thing. So it'll be a little smoother in that way. Or word or, you know, reorganize your message where it's going to say, instead of the merge tags in the middle, you say, you know, hello students, congratulations. The following students made the honor roll this quarter. Listen now for which students in their current GPA. And then I'll do the merge tags all together in one spot.
Okay.
You know, so, you know, so you can do it either way. Do the whole thing in text to speech, or just kind of group the merge tags together so it doesn't sound choppy back and forth. Okay. All right. So that's for email and for phone. And now these merge tags, this are commonly used, particularly for things like attendance messages. All right. So you may have attendance messages set up and scheduled to run at, say, 10 o'clock every day, right? If someone is, you know, out, there's maybe an attendance lines, parents call in and say, hey, my student's going to be out from school today. But anyone that doesn't dial in, we are notifying those parents, hey, your student didn't show up for school today. So the message we may send to them will have the student name, their current attendance status, they have an unexcused absence, and the date, right? So how those messages are sent are using merge tags, right? And so you'll see some of those under this menu right here, under messages and automated messages. We may already have some automated messages set up for you. Yeah, sure enough, we do, right? WHS attendance.
Yeah, we used it a lot for COVID too.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and here's like maybe the daily attendance message or more specific ones, right? And they are set for a certain time frame. And these are set up with merge tags because what it's doing, it's contacting your network and your system, and it's getting a file, right, from your system, and that the information that's being sent here is going to be like, certain fields, like the student name, the field in the system that has the attendance status, right, and so on, whether U for unexcused or E for excused, or whatever your values are, right? But that's what it's using. It's using merge tags and inserting into the body of the message it sends out.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I could even click on this and I could see, yeah, it's looking for the code U, right? And from your system, and it's coming from a student CSV file, and it's, and that's the name of the file that's being provided. So, and it's going out by phone and by email. Okay. All right, let me come back to the messaging area. All right, that leaves us with two more topics to discuss. One is talking about pre-built message templates and creating some of these categories to organize our sent messages. Okay, and then the other one is creating surveys. Right. Now, do you guys have a surveys tool that you use? Do you send out surveys like using Google Forms or SurveyMonkey or something like that?
I think there's probably about 10 tools that the district uses. So I'm really interested in finding out about this one though.
Okay, good. Yeah. So it's simple. So I'll give you the pros and cons to it. So, now that we're talking about it, let's start with that subject first, right? So you see there's 3 current surveys right here. But you could modify those, create more, or delete any from the messaging area, and the submenu on the right says surveys. All right, so here are those 3. If I wanted to modify any of them, I could just click on the title and open it up and change the survey, whatever else. All right. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a new one. So I'm gonna hit the add button on the right. I'm going to give this survey a name, so I could create a survey for the ISD or for any of the schools. All right, I'll give it a name, say like open house feedback. All right, so I sent an open house message yesterday, so I want to send now a survey out and see, what do people think about the open house. So if I just hit save, right, just give it a title and hit save, I have a new survey that's created, but there's nothing in it. Right, so I see the title here on the left, it has no questions, and because it's never been sent, there's no responses. Okay, so now if I click on the title though, it'll open up the survey again, and I could start adding some questions. Hit the add question button, and I'll say, I don't know, did you attend our recent open house? That's pretty straightforward. So here are my question types. So maybe I'll just make that a yes or no question, or a true or false question. Okay. Now, if I send it as a phone call, people are going to hear the question and they're going to say, if yes, press 1. If no, press 2. If I send it, say, like an email, they'll just see the question and radio buttons. Pick one or the other. Okay, and I'll hit save on the right. right? And there's my one question. Now, the pros and cons to some of these, right? The pro for creating and using the surveys tool in here, it's really easy to set up, right? It works, right? So it's dependable. And the other benefit is that you have all your accounts already in here for all your staff and students and parents and administrators. So you don't have to worry about maintaining data in some other source or some other tool. Okay, so those are the pros. The con, it's very simple, but you know, with sometimes simplicity, it's also maybe a little bit boring and not so flashy, right? So it's not a lot of background colors and pictures inserted in here, and it's going to look vanilla, right? Now vanilla's great. Lots of people love vanilla, but you know, sometimes you want a little rocky road or something else, right? So some other tools, you know, will have some of those more styling options like Google Forms or SurveyMonkey and stuff like that. So, but then you have to maintain data.
If we do it as an email, is there an option to at least add our logo on there or anything?
When you send us an email, it's basically just sending like a link in there. So you'll send an email to like a short message and it'll have a link to go to the form. So that's basically what it is. When you click the actual link from the email that you get, then it's just going to open up in a browser, right? And it's going to be just kind of plain and ordinary, right? It works. It looks good. It's clean. It's simple, but it's not going to be real flashy.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll demonstrate. I'll show you in a second. So let me continue with this. I have one question, but I want to add some more questions. So add question again. And I'll say, all right, did you attend? So I'll say, were you warmly greeted upon arrival? All right, a little more subjective, not maybe just a yes or no or true or false. Maybe I'll do an agreement scale. All right, and that would be strongly agree 1, somewhat agree 2. All right. Hit save for that. All right, now I have 2 questions. I could always click the check boxes and change the order, move them up or down, or check the checkbox and delete a question. Okay, I'm going to add one more question. I'll hit add question again, and I'll say what were the highlights of the event? All right, and so I could do maybe a free-form text box, right? So on a phone call, it'll beep, and they could say whatever they want. Or in an email, they'll have like a text box like this. They could just type what they want, right? But I may want something a little more, maybe not so open-ended, a little more specific, right? So maybe I'll do multiple choice. So I'll put in some different options. I wanted very specific feedback, what people thought about certain things, like the refreshments, right? Maybe one of the parents had a business and they have all snacks and muffins or whatever else, and I want to see, you know, what people thought about it. Maybe activities, right? Someone did some cool games and so on. So for kids, and then meeting the staff. All right, maybe I only had some of the staff there, but maybe people wanted to meet all the staff. So, all right, so I'll put a couple of questions. You can do up to 10 choices, you could give them. But if I keep this, the multiple choice, they can only select one of up to the 10 choices. So that's maybe where I want to do, instead of multiple choice, all that apply. So they could pick as many as they want. So instead of a radio button, one option, they could have check boxes and you can select as many. Okay. All right, so I'll save that. Now, if I wanted to modify these questions, right, I could always click on them and say, you know, for the phone call, by default, it's going to be text to speech. But maybe I want to record it instead of my voice. So I click the record audio, and either upload one of those two file types, right? Or say I'm going to dial in and record it in my voice. Okay, but the default would be text to speech. Okay, and if you do record it, you'll see at the top it says record exactly what appears in the box below. So you're going to record the question. You're also going to record the responses. All right, but I'm going to hit cancel. I'm not going to record it. I'm just going to keep it as is. All right, so you just click on the question title to open up and make changes. Now I'm going to hit preview on the right. So I'm going to double check everything on here. So this is what it's going to look like when they click on it from the email, right? It open up in the browser, and this is what they're going to see. And so I'm going to double check all my spelling. I'm going to double check that sure enough, these are radio buttons. I can only select one option, right? And I'm going to double check that this one's our check boxes. I could select multiple. All right, so everything seems to be working, looks good. So I'll hit back on the right side, and now I'm ready to save it. So I'll save that. I have now my option with 3 questions, never been sent, so there's no responses. Okay. Any question there creating the survey?
No.
Okay. All right, so now I'm going to go back to the send area, and I'm going to find it, that survey under the saved messages area on the left. So I select the surveys folder, that category, and sure enough, there's the open house. I'll select that. From here, I'm not going to send it to social media and all those other ones. I'm just going to deselect those. And maybe I'll just send it by email and phone. All right, I'll put in my account here, send it to myself, and then hit the send button. Right, you can see what it looks like in this email, but this is not what it's going to look like in the actual email they get. This is what it'll look like when they click on the link from the email. Right, it'll open up this, and that's what it'll look like in the browser. All right, message being activated, done. All right, let me turn up the volume on my phone so we could hear that. And let me go to my email and open this up. All right, so after I send it, like any sent message, oh, here it is.
This is a survey from Waco ISD. 1. Did you attend our recent open house? For yes, press 1. For no, press 2. 2. Were you warmly greeted upon arrival? Please select how much you agree with this statement. For strongly agree, press 1. For 3. What were the highlights of the event? Please select all that apply. Press pound when finished. For refreshments, press 1. For activities for the kids, press 2. For meeting the staff, press 3.
This survey question will now repeat. If you have finished answering this question, press pound
3. What were the highlights of the event?
Thank you for completing this survey.
To opt out of informational calls, press 9 or call 855-502-7867.
Right. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
There it is. All right. So that's the phone, what it sounds like, right? Pretty simple. Let me refresh and see if my email came through yet. Yep, here it is. All right, and this is what it looks like in my email, right? Who it's coming from, my reply to email address, who it's going to, and it says, please take a moment to answer a brief 3-question survey from Waco ISD. And it has a link right here. Please click here to take the survey. So I click on that, and it does open up in another window in my browser, right? And then I could complete the survey. Okay, thank you for completing the survey. All right. And now if I come here to my messages and outbox, I'll see this like any sent message, right? So here's the open house message I sent yesterday. Here's the one I just sent for the feedback. See the ways it went, see the time it went. If I click on it, it runs the message tracking for that message. And the difference between the ones we sent before and surveys is this additional tab right here. It says responses. All right, so this is where I'm going to see kind of the questions and these pie charts, right? Or bar charts, depending on question type, what item type it was. So the all that apply has the bar charts. The other ones have this. Now there's only one solid color, but if I filled it in and responded multiple ways, you'll see it. It'll look more like this with the different color segments in the pie chart. Okay. You could also check it not only from the message tracking report, but if I go back to the messages and surveys area, right, now I see, all right, here's open house feedback, 3 questions, 1 response, last time it was sent. Now, if I click on it, it's just going to open it up so I can make changes. So I'm going to select it, the checkbox on the left, and hit view results. And then I can see again those results. And on the bottom left, it should show details, and I could see either the person's name if they were logged in or anonymous if they weren't logged in. I can see the responses. Now I could take that, not just look at that, but I could also export the results. I could clear the results, right? I could copy the survey too. So maybe I'm doing a second version of it and changing the wording in the survey, right? So I could either use the existing one, but I don't want to edit the survey and skew the results. So I'll export the old results, right? Then and then clear the results and then edit the survey and send again. So I could compare the old version to the new version, right? Or maybe just copy it all together, right? And then call the old one old and then just have the new one just say open house feedback. Then I can compare the two as far as how people responded. Okay, and of course I could just take this and I could delete it. Check the checkbox and hit remove. All right, any questions there on surveys?
I have one. Do you have to make a separate survey in Spanish if you want it in 2 different languages?
It'll actually translate that in with the surveys. Yeah.
Because I uploaded it onto my account when I clicked languages, it was only giving me English as an option.
Oh, for the survey? And so if I select this, save messages. Okay, I'll have to check and see if that's a setting because there's some customization under the settings area where either different account types have only access to certain things or different, things on here also have only access to certain things. So I'll double check if that's a setting or that's always been relegated to just English. I think it's a setting, but I'll double check. Yeah. Yeah, so in the settings area, there's settings that you may not see, but our support do to change some of the options of what you could do. Yeah.
Okay. And then my second question was for the email, is there any way to change what it looks like when it arrives in the email bank, or is that setting the only way?
Yeah, It's pretty set on the way it is, but I could ask and see if there's some customization to that, if there's a way to do that. I don't think so, but it never hurts to ask. No. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me go to the last topic, and it's talking about creating pre-built message templates, right? And we do this under the messaging area, but the library on the right. So right next to survey says library. Okay, so definitely could be a time saver and also allow you to have more consistency in sending out messages that everyone starts with. It's kind of a common starting point. You don't have to start from scratch all the time. So, so I'll go to the library and I will see a bunch of categories here on the left, right? These general system categories are always there, and then some maybe additional categories for the ISD, or maybe other categories for per school. Okay. Now these categories are the ones we see under the send area. They're where we can organize our sent messages or organize our pre-built message templates. So under saved messages, I see some categories like miscellaneous, attendance, court date notification, right, or reminder. Okay. However, I'm not seeing all the categories here. I'm only seeing certain ones, right? Because in the library, there's a lot more categories I'm seeing. How come they're not showing up under the send area? They're not, because just like the draft folder, if you don't have everything in draft status, it doesn't show you a draft folder. If I have a category that has no pre-built templates in them, then they don't show up. Okay, the only ones that are showing up right now are not miscellaneous, but reminder, right, and attendance, right, or court date notification that has a pre-built message template in it. Okay. So now I could select these categories, or if I choose, I could create a whole new category, right? So maybe I hit add category, and I'll create a category for, I don't know, maybe for the ISD called athletics. And maybe this could only be used for people that send messages for the ISD, but you know what? I may want to make it available for all schools. So any pre-built templates in here, any school could use the messages in that category. I'll hit save. All right, so here's my new category now called athletics at the ISD. And it's not going to show under the send area because, again, it doesn't have a pre-built template in it yet. So I'm going to hit add message. And I'm going to build this message like I would build any other message. Give it a subject, right? And I'll say, I don't know, you know, at the beginning of every year, there's certain forms everyone needs to fill out, right? Clearance forms, right? Clearance forms, right, before they could start participating. And then I'll put in here, you know, this is a message, right? And maybe we'll send it out by email. Right, and I'll pick what languages I want it to go out by. Right, the English version, the Spanish version. And I'll hit save. All right, so there's my new category called athletics with one pre-built message template already in here. Right, so for the email me, you could set up a whole structure and everything. And the only thing that needs to change is, you know, maybe the date or the, I mean, you could put a merge tag in there so it always shows the current date. But, you know, maybe what files are attached, right? But the structure of the message is already preset for you, right? Which you could change each time, but at least you have most of the common structure set up for you. All right, so I'll go back to the send area now. And I'm going to use that message. I'll see it available now under saved messages. The category will show athletics because it's not empty. I'll go in there and there's my one pre-built message template. I'll select it. And all I could do is send it as is, right? I cannot make any modifications. So, and I don't want to send it as is. What I want to do is I want to edit it before I send it out. So I'll hit copy. So I'll copy the template that's available. It puts a copy in the draft folder. And from the item in draft, I can make any modifications and then send it out. All right. Any questions on that? Creating categories in here or creating messages within the categories?
Nope.
All right. Now, if I want to get rid of this, I can modify any of these pre-built templates by clicking on the name, open it up and hit the edit button, right? Make any changes to the template, right? Or copy if I want a new template that's going to be similar to this one, right? And then edit the copy. Or if I want to just get rid of it altogether, I hit delete. Okay. I can make a modification to the category. Click on the category name and change the name, change the description, or hit the remove button on the lower right to delete the whole category. Right? But I could also click on the left side where it has athletics selected. I could just click the X there. And now it'll be another way to permanently remove, delete that category. And it'll warn me. It says, hey, you sure want to permanently remove athletics? Now here's the one little interesting thing on here. It says existing messages. So any messages, any pre-built templates in that category do not get deleted with the category. They get moved to the miscellaneous category. All right. So if I hit remove to get rid of the athletics category, I see it's no longer there. It's no longer here. If I open up miscellaneous, though, the clearance forms got moved over here. And if I want to get rid of that altogether, I'll click and open it up and hit delete. And it's gone. All right, everyone, that's everything in their advanced session today. Any questions? Final questions?
No.
Okay. All right, now you could always look up, I mentioned this yesterday, the help menu on the right. You go there, there's a link on the left that says help topics, or you could call or email support over here on the right. If I click on help topics, it opens up our help.blackboard website. And I scroll down to the bottom and I'll see we're talking about mass notifications. Right, and so I can click on that. There's other topics like reports and best practices and stuff like that. I've hit mass notifications, going to give me more specific topics within mass notifications. Right, searching for recipients, sending out newsletters, merge tags with recorded audio, creating surveys, managing groups. Right, so a lot of those things we went through today. Okay. Everyone here, let me stop the recording.